Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday afternoon. Hope yours is going well. And we have another Seahawks video to get to today. But first, I have a little bit of an announcement. If you are a channel member, you may notice that your member perks are gone. Mostly the custom emojis you can use in comments and chat. You may notice those are off right now. My AdSense account got canceled or deactivated, and I'm currently in the process of reactivating it. I didn't do it. I certainly didn't want it to happen. I don't know what caused it to happen, but it got deactivated this morning. It could take a couple days for me to reactivate it and get everything back in working order, so memberships will resume as they were before in a couple of days, but for the moment, membership perks are on pause. If this ends up being an extended thing, there will be automatic refunds, so don't worry about it. Just let me go ahead and go through the process. You know, they're trying to keep me down. The man's trying to keep me down, but I'm not going to let them keep me down. But regardless, shout out to the 1,780 subscribers, and a tip of the cap goes to the 20 current channel members, even if YouTube doesn't technically acknowledge them as channel members at the moment. And a special tip of the cap goes to elite channel member Y2KHA. All right. With all that out of the way, let's go ahead and go into the Seahawks content that you guys have been waiting for. It's Wednesday. It's time for the Wagner Watch. And after looking at Bobby Wagner's game on Sunday and trying to figure out how to judge it, how to evaluate it, I think my final verdict here is going to be You know, after looking at some stuff, I'm not convinced he was bad, but I definitely don't think he was good, and he was nowhere near good enough to justify the amount of money he made on Sunday. I'm sure his game check is somewhere around 800 grand, so we're going to go through it, and I'll talk you guys through what I see after reviewing his game closely. So, let's start with the tackles. This is one area where Bobby is not having any problems at all. He only had 6 on Sunday, which is not a huge total, but that's not exactly unexpected when you're playing a team that does nothing but pass the ball down the field on you. So, after 8 games, he's up to 80 tackles, which puts him well on pace to crush my 2020 projections. So, we're pretty happy here, admittedly, and he picked up a sack on Sunday. He had a sack on Josh Allen, which gives him 3 on the season. You may remember I gave him 3 for the whole season, and we're only halfway there. So, okay, we're starting out with some pretty good stuff here. Bobby is getting to the quarterback. Bobby is making plays in the backfield again, and I'm so happy to see it. 3 sacks for a middle linebacker in this defense is good. And if he keeps this up, he's going to have his best season ever rushing the QB. Okay. But then we get into some of the stuff that concerns me. He had another missed tackle on Sunday to bring his total to 6 on the season. 6. And given how many tackles he has, that's not the complete disaster or catastrophe that it sounds like, but it's not anywhere near good enough. And as you can see, I gave him 7 missed tackles on the year before this season started. I would have been fine with 8 or maybe 9, but he's on pace for 12. And on a team that is really having some tackle problems right now, I don't need Bobby Wagner to be one of the guys who's contributing to things. So, one more missed tackle against the Bills. His missed tackle rate's up to 7%. It's not good enough. It's simply not good enough, especially when you're not forcing turnovers, which is something we'll get to in a moment here, but 7% missed tackle rate, that's higher than it was last year. And last year I said it wasn't good enough, so this really isn't good enough. Solo tackles, he's up to 43, so he's just barely on pace to fall short of 90, not critically so. I mean, as of right now, he's on pace to get to about 86 solo tackles. If he gets to 86, I'm fine. Like, the difference between 86 solo tackles and 90 is not anything that I'm worried about. All right, QB pressures. Moving along to something a little more positive. He has 9 QB pressures through 8 games, putting him on pace for a robust 18, which would triple what he did the year before and the year before that. So some of it is because he's blitzing more, obviously. We all know that. But he's also having a lot of success on the blitz. So I can safely say that whatever else I can criticize Bobby for this season, he is showing me something very good rushing the passer. So If that keeps up, we'll at least be able to hang our hat on that. He had no additional tackles for loss against the Bills. He's got 4 after 8 games. A little fewer than I wanted, but not bad either. It's hard to get tackles for loss when the other team never runs the ball, so against the Bills specifically, I'm not concerned about this at all, really. So, yeah, he needs to pick it up a little bit here, but where he really needs to pick it up and find something is right here, turnovers forced. This is the most alarming thing to me. Bobby is not involved in any action that involves taking the ball away from the other team. He's not picking off passes, not forcing fumbles, not recovering fumbles. He's simply not helping take the ball away. And this defense, obviously they didn't do it against Buffalo, but the one thing this defense has to their credit is the ability to take the ball away from the other team. They've been doing it well this whole year. So this is a problem, and if Bobby's going to be missing a few tackles every month, and if he's going to be, a flawed player in coverage, then I at least need him to take the ball away every now and then. And right now we're not getting that. So he's not participating in the one thing that this defense is able to somewhat hang their hat on. So this is a problem, and I need to see this rectified quickly. This weekend would be a great time to do that. All right, passes defensed or passes deflected. He's got 4 after 8 games, putting him right on pace for 8 in 2020, which is what I expected. So he's on pace here, but he hasn't had one in a while. I don't know why anybody would target Bobby in coverage right now, given how bad our cornerbacks are in coverage. So I get that part of it, but needs to pick up a few here if he wants to keep pace. Okay, now we're going on to run tackles. He only had 2 against the Bills, if you compare it. Yeah, he had 2 run tackles against the Bills. That's what happens when the other team never runs the ball on you. So, yeah, this isn't on Bobby. This is on the Bills' game plan and our defense's inability to handle that game plan. All right, average tackle depth. It came up a tiny bit. It is now 3.82. 3.82. Which is basically exactly what I projected for 2020. So we're doing fine here. Bobby is not giving up big running plays on plays where he gets the tackle. So in terms of his individual run defense, he's doing fine. But it doesn't matter when you can't stop the pass, so it's not particularly valuable to this team. Nevertheless, he's well on pace to meet my run, tackle, and tackle depth expectations for 2020. All right, now we're going on to his coverage. What do we have in coverage for Bobby? Targets. He's got 37 targets through 8 games. That puts him on pace for 74, which would be considerably more than my 2020 projection. Again, that doesn't exactly have to be a disaster. However, let's take a look at some things that happened against the Bills specifically. As you can see, he was targeted in coverage 4 times, and he gave up 4 completions. 4 for 4. And how many yards was that? 35. So, not awful, I guess. You can live with 35 coverage yards allowed as a middle linebacker who's playing essentially every snap. But we can see where Bobby's very strong start to 2020 in coverage is starting to get away from him a little bit. He is getting targeted more. He is giving up more completions. His completion percentage is up close to 68. His completions, he's currently on pace to give up 50 completions, which would be okay. It would be a little bit ahead of projections, but not anything I would be concerned about. His passing yards allowed, if he keeps giving up 35 yards a game, that's not great, but it's not terrible either. As you can see, through 8 games, he's on pace to give up about 480 yards in coverage, which would be manageable. I would be willing to live with that. Still hasn't given up a passing touchdown, which is good. His passer rating allowed is still below 90. It's still around 85, but these numbers are starting to creep up. The passer rating number has creeped up a little bit. Last week, it was 81. Completion percentage has ticked up from 64 to 68, basically. So he's got to start making some plays in coverage. He's got to start getting it done in coverage a little bit more than he is right now. And I don't know how many opportunities he's going to get because our cornerbacks are so bad in coverage, but there are going to be opportunities out there, period. All right. Average depth of target is 5.7. I don't know if this is particularly meaningful in context. I don't have a huge problem with it, but it will become a problem if this completion percentage keeps going up. Air yards, 120 after 8 games, on pace for 240, which would be a little more than I projected in 2020. However, his yards after the catch allowed is down to 120, which is much lower than the 300 I projected. So overall, in terms of the yards allowed in coverage, Bobby is doing quite well. I will take this. I am pretty happy to accept this. Still holding up okay in coverage. And finally, let's take a look at his pass rush win rate. He came down a little bit. Last week, it was up to 19%. Now it's down to about 16%. Still where it needs to be. Still a very successful pass rush win rate. So, looking at this Bills game, my opinion of Wagner's play is not bad, maybe not even, below average, but I can't say it was particularly good. Kind of just overall unremarkable and forgettable. But we really need to see improvement in 2 areas, in my estimation. He needs to start forcing turnovers, and he needs to stop missing tackles. If he gets those 2 things under control, he will be the elite linebacker that we are paying him like he is. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. Should be a stream tonight. Probably back on Dragon Quest, but you never know what's going to come up. So see you guys there. Bobby, through 8 games in 2020, he's doing some stuff that's good, but got to take it up another notch or 2. That's my evaluation halfway through the season. And with that, I will see you guys tomorrow or tonight.